Greetings guys and gals, this is XIJABERWALKIX bringing you the best in esports. Today we have the Shinhan Winners League Set 4 of KT Rolster versus Hwaseung. And Violet, man, Violet is on an absolute tear, 3-0ing the Hwaseung team and beating Jaedong in the first round with his weakest matchup against Zerg, only 44%. But there is Hiya trying to protect his team pretty much because Violet is on an absolute rampage. We have Violet as the protest player in red, spawning at the top right. At the bottom left, we have Hiya in yellow as the Terran player, spawning cross positions. And so this is probably going to be more of a macro-oriented game, and it's really going to come down to either arbiters or carriers. No cheese going out for either player, both just doing more of a macro type of game like I had previously said. And nothing like, I don't want to spoil anything, but nothing like Calm versus Fantasy. There was some really wicked cheese going on in those games. Supply Depot going down, Pylon going down, so pretty standard as of yet. And I really can't believe that Violet was able to beat Jaedong. Obviously that's going to be a spoiler because this is set 4. And you know, the rest of Hwaseung's players not really that good, but Jaedong very surprising because Jaedong is the best Zerg player, not really even arguably, and Violet was able to beat him pretty soundly, actually, in my opinion. At the same time, though, Jaedong has been just whittled down to test his spirits because he's been Hwaseung really needs another player, and one of my subs actually mentioned the fact that a lot of the teams can't really afford to have more than one quote-unquote S-type or S-class player, and I kind of disagree with that just because you look at SKT1, and I know SKT1 is kind of like the Yankees of the Pro League, but they have Fantasy and Best and Bisu, and they've got a lot of good players, and so that's why I think that they could definitely at least use one more S-class player. Hiya sending out an SCV to the top right position. We do have Gateway and Cybernetics Core, I believe, going down for Violet. Now we have another Pylon going down, and this SCV Scout is going to be able to get in the base, pretty much see everything that Violet is doing. And Violet, pretty new-ish player. Hiya also not, I mean, he's not as new, but definitely not as experienced as your Flash, Jaedong, Bisu, Reach, anyone like that. Obviously Reach is like way more experienced than all of them. Not necessarily in big matchups, but still very experienced nonetheless. We see that range is being researched by Violet, very standard. Gonna get his Dragoons out pretty soon, and I know that in my last cast I missed some of the Gosu moves that Jaedong was pulling off, I believe, like attacking his Zergling with his Lurker and allowing him to splash the DT. That was pretty epic, and some Corsair stuff. And I apologize for that. I'm still kind of working on the whole commentary thing, still trying to become better and better. Machine Chop going down for Hiya on his factory. This Zealot's going to try to push in here, but I think that Hiya definitely has the micro to kill it and not lose any Marines, but whoa, I'm wrong. He might even lose 2 Marines. Little bit of missed micro there. Going to have to use that third. The Zealot does pull away. Is going to be able to get away without dying, although it only has about 6 hit points, which is not going to make it too effective. A proxy Pylon for maybe some hidden tech, maybe some Templar Archives and Citadel tech is going to be at that left-hand side. He possibly could put carriers or something there, but that's a little bit in the later game. As of now, we do have a Zealot and Dragoon out in the mix. 4 Marines at the front for Hiya. And this SCV trying to get a scout out, possibly looking for more cheese. Expansion going down for Hiya as well. So Hiya's going to go, expansion going down for Violet, rather. And so Violet's going to go for a little bit more macro type play, not going to put as much pressure on the front as he otherwise would have. It's really particular that Hiya didn't even try to wall off. He didn't even attempt to wall off. He just kind of stuck his Marines there and really just kind of relied on that. Usually you see the player build something like a supply depot and then float their barracks over to defend that. And Hiya now moving out with an SCV, probably going to put down an expansion, is trying to secure this area with a bunker. Here comes Hiya pushing in but as of now, the range is upgraded on those Dragoons, so they're going to be able to outrange the Marines. Not able to outrange the tank, but outrange the Marines nonetheless. Zealot gets picked off. More Marines going down. This bunker really needs to finish. He might be able to pick off the SCV. Probably going to try to pick off the SCV. But no, the bunker does finish. Here comes Violet pushing in yet again, able to pick off one of the mines. So we do have mines before Siege Tech, I believe, for Hiya. And this bunker is in jeopardy of going down. The barracks, for some reason, is floated to the right-hand side. Probably just for scouting, sole scouting purposes, to see if any type of drop is going down. Which is very easy if you can just float your barracks over and land it, especially if you're not going to be going like Medic Marine, which I have no idea why he would be going Medic Marine anyway. That's more of a Zerg thing, but he's really not going to use his barracks that much at this point in the game. So very smart move by putting that on that right-hand side. Vulture might be picked off. Ooh! And mine getting hit on that Dragoon. Two of those Dragoons are very badly hurt. Probably should put them in the back. Those Dragoons are attacking something. I couldn't see on the screen exactly what they were attacking. Machine Shop still spinning. So we're going to see probably either Siege Tech or something like Vulture Speed. I'm assuming that he's going to go for Siege Tech first, just because he's going to definitely need to secure his front. We see the robotics facility and an observatory first, so no really quick Reaver harass is going to be happening either. This barracks floating out to the right-hand side and sees that there is some type of proxy going on, or possibly just a pylon putting down, so he's going to know whenever Hiya wants to expand to that position. But regardless, he's going to get a scout on that pylon. Probe now coming out for Violet, not entirely sure what it's going to be doing at the front there. Command center being built as well, so Hiya is definitely thinking of taking his base. And ooh, hidden Stargate. Definitely trying to hide that Stargate away from any type of comm set, so possibly going to be going for early-ish carriers, maybe 3 base carriers, 2 base carriers. That's absolutely all in, and I don't even know if you can really pull that off successfully. But definitely going to try to go for these carriers nonetheless. I mean, that's a really early call, but you wouldn't really be trying to put it in that type of position, because the Terran player pretty much knows that you're either going to go carriers or arbiters in the late game. So I'm just going to say that he's going to be going carriers in the near future, possibly some rush to carriers, nothing all in. But then I mean, he could go all in if you really want to do it with his third B. We do see the fleet beacon, and oh my god, he's going 2 base carriers, which is definitely an all-in-ish type build. You know, I'm really tentative with saying all in, but 2 base carriers, it leaves you with like almost absolutely no minerals to do anything else with, especially gas. It's so gas intensive. Siege taking sieging up at the front of Violet, and so Hiya's going to definitely have the advantage at this point in the game. He's going to be able to contain Hiya completely, especially with those mines. There are observers out, so the Dragoons are going to be able to clean them up, but not anytime soon, just because those siege things are seized there. He's going to need to get a shuttle, he's going to need to get a citadel, he's going to need to get his zealots and his speed upgrade to pretty much break this. And at this point in the game, he doesn't really have it. He only has about 3 gateways, which is going to leave him with probably not even close to enough forces to do anything like this. He's going to have to wait until he gets carriers, and if this is spotted by Hiya, then Violet is going to be in a world of hurt. The first shuttle now is out for Violet. He's getting sieged on, just moving closer and closer. Here comes the shuttle, trying to possibly do something like a mine drag, although I don't think that this is going to work at this point in time. And here comes some vultures trying to engage. Dragoons moving in as well, and Violet has just been sticking to this attack. I think he's going to be able to break through even with all these mines. Still has about 4 Dragoons. One gets killed by the mine. Another one gets blown up by a siege tank. 2 siege tanks still in the mix, and only 4 Dragoons. 5 Dragoons now. And he really, unfortunately, went in, and those mines just totally ate up his forces. Did pretty good micro, did the best to his ability, but he really needs to do something about those mines. Really needs to clear them out with some zealots or something. These vultures are not going to be able to get up to... Whoa, just kidding. That pylon actually not blocking anything. It's only going to be able to block siege tanks and stuff like that. Usually what players do is, I guess, they build 3, which allows them to block off that ramp. But Violet actually only building 2, just wanted to make sure siege tanks could not get up there. Unfortunately, those vultures are able to, as the vultures are a little bit smaller than the tanks are. And now we see carriers out. The first carrier is out. He's building carriers off of 1 starport. I don't know what he's doing. Violet, what are you doing, man? 1 Stargate carriers off of 2 bases. That is crazy freaking build, and I can see why he's only building one Stargate, but going 2 base carriers is like retarded, because the Terran player is just going to be able to macro up so many Goliaths to deal with this. He's going to be at 3 factories pretty soon, and that's just more than enough to deal with a 1 Stargate carrier push. I mean, honestly, it's not even going to be close. The only way that Hiya is going to get... Oh my... Well, he canceled it. The only way that Violet is going to get away with this is if he's able to pretty much all surprise him, not even attack any of the forces at the front, and just attack his main and completely surprise him, completely take him off guard. Now we see Hiya switching to barracks tech. Really, he has his engineering bay, probably going to get some upgrades, but he's building 4 more barracks instead and going to go for a huge marines. And right after I say you probably wouldn't go medic marine in this situation, it looks like Hiya might be going medic marine, and those pylons not even blocking it again. I think that Violet thought that was complete block, but it's not. Those vultures still able to get through. Meanwhile, Violet is trying to clear out these mines, make sure he's not... the front of Hiya's base is not too defended, I guess you could say. So if he wanted to push in, then he's going to be more equipped to do so. We see the first Goliath out. And so I'm thinking that this might have been spotted by Hiya as the machine shop is spinning, which is probably for charm boosters is what I'm guessing. More barracks going up. And I really haven't seen this type of play. I really haven't seen medic marines versus Protoss in forever. I mean, it's been such a long time. I just saw it at the beginning, and even then it wasn't even used that much. Usually it's always been this mech play versus Protoss. This is very, very kind of old school coming into new school type play. The Citadel of Adun just now building, so he's probably going to be able to get some Zealot legs pretty soon in the future, but this is still just such a crazy build. I'm so surprised that he went for this. This SCV is not going to get a scout in, so if he scouted the carriers, then I really would discontinue the carrier use. If he hasn't, he might be able to do some damage with it, but at this point he only has 2 carriers. They are going to be able to pick off these Goliaths and do some damage, but at this point in the game, Hiya is just going to be able to macro up more Goliaths and just deal with these carriers. There's definitely not enough carriers to do any type of serious damage. If he pushes in with his ground force, this could be a little bit different, but there are siege tanks and a medic marine force as well, so he's going to be a little bit more hard pressed to do any type of real damage. Templar archives going up as well, so we're probably going to see some high Templar and storms, stuff like that. Violet has taken his 3rd base finally up and running after 2 vulture harasses, and Hiya still only at 2 bases, so he's a little bit behind economically, but that's very, very okay. Here he comes pushing in with his medic marine slash mech force. It's just kind of like a biomech force, really. Siege tank sieging up, and Violet's just definitely gonna have to back up here. Now Violet is at 3 carriers, a whole 3 carriers. And I really haven't seen how good exactly Marines are versus carriers, but I can imagine that they'd be pretty well, especially if they're under them. But with the help of these ground forces, they won't be nearly as effective. But looks like Violet is just losing Dragoon after Dragoon after Dragoon with these biomech forces. The Siege Tank's just doing so much splash damage. Probably should pick up that Dragoon, and he does, turns around. And this game is just absolutely turning crazy now that Violet has picked up his 3rd base. He's going to go for 2 Stargate carriers. And I kind of like this play. If you're going to go carriers, I like it if you're going to go for 2 Stargates, and if you're going to also get a ground force to support it, because really just all-in carriers doesn't work anymore versus Terran. Terran just are able to do so much damage. These Marines faring decently well against the carriers, but not well against the Dragoons and Zealots at all. They're going to be able to clean up this ground force. At the same time, it looks like Hiya's pushing into the natural and is probably going to be able to take down this Nexus. Unfortunately for Violet, Violet in a little bit of trouble. More forces macroing up at the front, and Violet is now attacking the natural of Hiya, and so this might go into a base trade situation. Going to be able to take out that Comsat Center. DT in the mix, but Comsat's just in the nick of time, able to pick off that DT. The Comsat's not going to go down, however. SCV is pulled off the line to repair it. Violet now in so much trouble. His main is pretty much all breached, and DT's now out in the mix. He does have Comsat, going to be able to kill them fairly easily, and I just think that this is the end of the line for Violet. Unfortunately, not able to pull off the all-kill so far. If he's able to kill off this entire force with those carriers, then I'll be very, very surprised. More forces streaming in for Hiya. You can just see the line of yellow coming into the the red base. Able to pick off a lot of the units though, and more units getting picked off at the front, so might be able to clean this up with these carriers actually. DT's in the mix as well, and I don't think that he has a comp set, or probably doesn't even want to spend one at this point in the game. 3 bases to 2. Hiya has not picked up a third yet, which is kind of peculiar. He really should try to pick up a third, in my opinion. It looks like Hiya might be, or no, Violet actually, retaking his natural base, and these carriers, man, are going to be able to take out all of these Marines and these Dragoons. DT's in the mix as well. Not really going to matter that much, but DT's just have so much DPS, are going to eat through all of these Marines. And wow, Hiya in a little bit of trouble also. I actually called it really early. I thought that he was going to be reinforcing with more Goliaths, which would have made more sense to build those rather than Marines. Because the Marines are just getting absolutely killed by these ground forces, by these gateway units from Violet. But Violet actually showing some resilience, pushing back in here at the side of the natural base for Hiya and doing a considerable amount of damage. Here comes the DTs and the Zealots doing just so much damage to those Marines. Comsite going off to try to pick off these DTs, going to be able to do so. More Marines coming in, but I don't even know if it's going to be enough, honestly. Just Violet just doing absolute crazy damage with these 6 or 7 carriers that he does have. Still a considerable medic Marine force for Hiya. Doesn't have any Goliaths in the mix for some reason. I think he would be better off if he went Goliath tank, and that's why I think that players don't go for a Bio Ball or Biomech build rather like this, because it's just not nearly as effective as Siege Tanks and Goliaths in my honest opinion. I think Siege Tanks and Goliaths would be so much better. But I mean, Violet's doing fairly well also. He's able to secure his third base, has a considerable number of carriers. Finally, Hiya's taking his third at that 9 o'clock. But this game is pretty much a little bit set back to even, in my opinion. These carriers just doing so much damage against these infantry units. And I know I was like, it's all over, Hiya wins, but I didn't know that the carriers would just do so much damage. Looks like he doesn't have any upgrades for him actually, which is kind of peculiar. Might have weapon upgrades for ground or something like that, but definitely does not have anything for air. These DTs and Zealots coming in, unable to do too much damage. Meanwhile, Hiya is attacking this 3 o'clock position, going to be able to kill some probes. Going to get picked off though. This force is probably going to get picked off, but maybe not. Here comes some DTs to try to deal with this. Going to be able to pick off the last of the Marines and the medics as well. Curious coming in for an absolute overkill, and Hiya looks like he's moving to bottom right base possibly to go for an attack from the south. Pretty decent saturation at all 3 bases for Violet, but these DTs getting picked off, and that's bad. I mean, DTs aren't nearly as fragile as they are in StarCraft 2, but they don't do as much damage either. Still very, very effective, but with a scan they are very easily deterred. And I don't know if Hiya has invested Stim yet, but I definitely think that he should. If he stims up his forces, gets right underneath those carriers, I think that he could do a lot of damage. Now he has Goliath in the mix, which is going to make his force that much more deadly. Violet has picked up some High Templar and attacking at 2 fronts, at the 3 o'clock and at the natural. Violet not even using his carriers for some reason. Hiya just pushing in the front, is able to pick off just so many probes, and this Biomech army might actually be able to do it. Violet looking a little bit flustered, looking like he's in a little bit of trouble. Not really the greatest micro there by Hiya. Could have done a little bit better with that top medic Marine force, but doing an okay job nonetheless. Carriers utilizing that ridge there, doing a very nice job. He needs more Goliaths. Hiya's just kind of starved of Goliaths for some reason. He really should have more Goliaths in the area, and unfortunately his whole force again is just going to be absolutely deterred by these carriers. More forces streaming in, but really he needs a lot more medic Marines to deal with these carriers. He needs definitely a lot better micro, and well, I mean, I'm not a lot better micro, but he needs better micro. He needs to take care of his units more, kind of back them up and let the front ones back up, and let the ones in the back attack the Zealots and the ground army and stuff like that, because right now he's just kind of running into the Zealots. Not exactly what you want to do. Scan going off to just exactly know how many carriers are in the exact position of them, but I think he would. I still think he would be a lot better off going for some Goliaths and good storm there by Violet, able to pick off a lot of those Marines. DTs, this whole army is just DTs and carriers. It's kind of funny. But yeah, now Marines attacking interceptors, not really getting any shots off on those carriers. Carriers can just absolutely destroy Marines if they're not under them. If the Marines get under them with some stim, I think that they could do a decent amount of damage. It's just like the interceptors and the carriers outrange the Marines just so badly, they're unable to do a ton of damage. High Templar are going to have to come down here and help him out. But what is his carriers doing? I don't know what his carriers are doing. His carriers finally coming in from the south there. But honestly, good storm by Violet, but Jesus, man, use your carriers to your advantage, not really going in and attacking or doing anything. More forces streaming in for Hiya, and this fourth base is just, I mean this third base rather, is under duress by those DTs, just taking out so many SCVs, and finally the last DTs might be picked off, but he needs to probably use another comp set. 7 kills on that one DT, 3 kills on that High Templar. Well, that's actually a 5, sorry about that. These carriers coming in to reinforce this 3 o'clock base. He's completely lost his natural, so he's only at 1 mining base at this point in the game. Hiya, meanwhile, is at 2 mining bases, although his 9 o'clock base is not being utilized as well as it could just because of that TT harassment. More forces coming in for Hiya, and he's just whittling down the army of Violet. I think that Violet is at the end of his rope. Unfortunately, that tank barely getting picked off, but Hiya's just a little bit far behind in terms of economy. More Goliaths, and a big forest looks like it's going to that 9 o'clock base. Kiryu is also going to go to that 9 o'clock base, try to pick it off, because he knows that the natural's almost mined out. If Hiya is not able to defend this, then it might let Violet back in the game, but he does have Goliaths in the forest now, should be stimming and running over there, but unfortunately he's not really doing a whole lot with those Marines. Those Marines aren't doing pretty much anything to those carriers, unfortunately. They're killing off interceptors, yeah, sure, but not really killing any carriers. We haven't seen any carriers go down. I don't think I've seen a carrier go down versus those Marine forces, and as you can see, the interceptors just absolutely owning them, absolutely outranging those Marines. And so now another attack force going in from the south. The thing about Marines, though, is you're able just to produce so many so quickly, rather than Goliath that takes a little bit longer and obviously cost more for each one. And so he's going to be able to do this kind of two-pronged attack, going to be able to defend his base and attack the 3 o'clock at the same time. If Violet loses the 3 o'clock, he's absolutely screwed. He's trying to come in, but Marines and Goliaths are there to defend. High Templar in the mix as well. Might be pulling off a storm. Sorry for that. I just hit the mic accidentally. But this 3 o'clock base for Violet is going to go down. It looks like he's on the brink of GGing. He's just so close, fighting so hard, almost able to do the all kill. He wants it. You can tell on his face that Violet wants the all kill for KT Rolster. I'm sure being on KT Rolster is kind of like quote-unquote Flash's team, and I'm sure that he wants to be known as a good player as well. He wants to contribute his part and try to be the hero this time, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to happen for him. He's going to be able to take out this 9 o'clock base, but the 3 has been completely taken out. He has no mining whatsoever, and Hiya is still mining at his natural, doing a very nice job of engaging on this ridge. These Marines are absolutely doing nothing. I don't know why Hiya is playing so dumb with these Marines. Not really playing the smartest, just attacking the interceptors, not even attacking, getting any shots off on these carriers. Has not lost a carry. Violet needs to be very careful not to engage too far on that ridge, but as of right now he's doing a very nice job. Interceptors going down. He's going to have to make more. I guess if he can kill all the interceptors, since Violet has no mining base, then he's not going to be able to reproduce those interceptors, and Violet GG, so unable to do the all kill. Hiya saves his team from absolute embarrassment on letting Violet of all people all kill them. I mean, I have nothing against Violet, but honestly I don't think he's that good of a player. I think he's alright, maybe a little bit above average. Hiya, pretty good player as well, but that would have been just absolutely embarrassing if Violet would have been able to pull off the all kill. Probably not Flash next is what I'm guessing. I have no idea, but they probably won't send Flash, and they'll probably send some other newbie to try to take him out. If he loses, they'll probably send him Flash at that point in the game. But anyways, if you liked this cast, please subscribe, give me a like, and comment below if you have anything to say, and remember to subscribe to me on Twitter if you'd like to. Other than that, I'm out of here. Lates.